Right now, someone in your life is lying to you, not necessarily with words. Their mouth says one thing, but something else is screaming the truth. And in this moment, you have no idea what it is. But what if you could see it? Not with special powers, just by knowing what to look for. Here's the thing about human emotions. They're terrible at staying hidden. Your brain doesn't have a filter between what you feel and what your face does. Micro expressions, tiny, involuntary facial movements that last less than a second leak your genuine emotional state before your conscious mind can catch up and lie about it. Most people never see them. They're too busy listening to words, which is exactly the problem. Words are the last thing, to be honest. Your face? Your face moved before you decided to speak. This is what you're going to learn today. Not manipulation, not cold reading. Just basic human psychology that will change how you understand every conversation you have. Let's start with a real scenario. You ask your partner, is everything okay? They say yes. Their voice is steady. They're smiling. But for less than half a second, oh fast you almost miss it. Their eyebrows furrow and their lips pull slightly down at the corners. Then the smile returns. That microsecond, that was the truth. Everything is not okay. Your body doesn't lie because it can't. It's running on an older system, your limbic system, the emotional brain. This system is millions of years old. It moves faster than your thinking brain can keep up with. It's designed for survival. When it detects something threatening, it reacts. And that reaction shows on your face before you even realize what you felt. This is why poker players wear sunglasses. This is why good liars practice in mirrors. They're not trying to fool your logic. They're trying to hide from your emotional radar. But here's what most people get wrong about reading emotions. You don't need to memorize facial muscles or learn complex charts. You need to understand the basic psychology of how emotions work. There are 7 universal emotions that cross all cultures, languages, and backgrounds. Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt. Each one creates a distinct pattern on the human face. A psychologist named Paul Ekman spent decades proving this. He studied isolated tribes who had never seen movies or television. They recognized the same expressions as people in New York or Tokyo. This means you already know how to read emotions. You've been doing it since you were born. You just haven't learned to trust what you see. Think about when you were a baby. You couldn't understand words, but you knew instantly if your parent was angry, afraid, or content. You were reading their face perfectly. Somewhere along the way, you got distracted by language and forgot how to trust that older system. The secret is simple. Slow down your observation. Most people scan faces without actually looking. They hear words and instantly categorize the person's emotional state based on what was said. They don't look deeper. Let me give you a framework. When someone speaks, notice 3 things in this order: their eyes, their mouth, their overall body position. The eyes reveal what the person is trying to hide. In genuine happiness, crow's feet appear. The eyes actually crinkle. In fake happiness, the kind people do at uncomfortable work parties, the eyes don't move. The smile is only in the mouth. That's the first clue something doesn't match. Fear and anxiety live in the eyes too. When someone is nervous or afraid, the whites of their eyes show more. Their pupils might dilate. They might blink faster. These aren't things they're choosing to do. They're automatic. The mouth is trickier because people are more aware of it. They've practiced smiling, but notice the timing. Real emotions appear first and then disappear. Fake emotions fade in and then stay. If someone just learned something painful and smiles immediately without any sadness flickering first, that smile probably means nothing. Contempt is the easiest emotion to spot once you know it. One corner of the mouth tightens slightly and lifts. It usually lasts less than a second. It says, "I think you're beneath me." The interesting thing about contempt is that people rarely recognize it in themselves. You might feel it about someone without knowing it's showing. Body language tells the bigger story. If someone's words say yes, but their body is leaning away, turning away, or closing up, their body is telling you the real answer. A person's body always moves toward what they want and away from what they don't. Here's something most people miss. Emotions in sequence tell you more than single expressions. Watch for the progression. Guilt looks different when it follows an opportunity versus when it follows an accusation. Shame looks different than embarrassment, even though people think they're the same. The practical part. What do you do with this information? First, build your observation skills. Spend time actually looking at people, not creepily, just with intention. When you watch movies, pause and observe facial expressions. When you're in conversations, notice the flickers. The more you practice, the faster your brain becomes at recognizing patterns. Second, create safety for honesty. People hide emotions because they fear consequences. If you react with anger to sadness, people will hide their sadness next time. If you respond with judgment, people will put up their walls. The more emotionally safe you make someone feel, the less they need to hide. Their face will become an open book. Third, ask follow-up questions when you see a mismatch. Don't accuse. Just notice. I noticed something felt off when you said that. What's really going on? You're not calling them a liar. You're offering them a chance to be honest. Fourth, check your own micro-expressions. Spend time in front of a mirror. Notice what your face does when you feel different things. Because once you see how your own emotions work, you become much better at reading others. Emotional awareness is built on self-awareness. Here's what most people don't understand. Reading emotions isn't about winning arguments or catching people in lies. It's about connection. When you can actually see what someone is feeling, you understand them better. You become the person they can be honest with. You become trustworthy. That person who said everything was okay, they weren't lying to hurt you. They were protecting themselves. But if you knew to look at that half-second flicker, you could have asked in a way that made it safe to tell you the truth. And that changes everything. The ability to read emotions is the most underrated superpower in human relationships. We teach people how to write essays and solve equations, but nobody teaches them how to see what's really happening in front of their eyes. You have this skill already. You were born with it. The question isn't whether you can read emotions. The question is whether you're paying enough attention to notice what's already there, screaming to be seen. Start today. In your next conversation, commit to looking. Not just listening, looking. Watch for the flickers. See what shows up in that space between the words. And when you see the truth written on someone's face, you'll never have a surface-level conversation again.